Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphreys. He's Gage Berdovich. And unlike Sydney Sweeney, we may not have perfect genes, but we do have a 2025 NFC South Preview. Gage, you got any smelling salts for me over there? And how you doing?
Unfortunately, no smelling salts over here, but I can't provide them for you, but you can get your own, so that's fine. But I'm doing fine. Preseason is finally here in full swing. Still got the disappointing baseball teams going on. It's a time of the year, that is for sure. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right for the most part. So you said that we're going to do the NFC South preview, of course, but we'll start off with a little talk of some things going on. There was a preseason game last night with one of our teams playing, the Bengals. They let Tanner McKee do whatever he wanted to the whole game just about, so the defense looks the same as it did last year. Joe Burrow went 9 for 10, 2 touchdowns. That offense was clicking just like last year for the most part. Looked pretty good on offense. Finally getting out there and doing some stuff in the preseason, which is different for the Bengals. But, yeah, I thought that they looked decent overall, about what I expected. The defense still just, it's what it is over there.
Yeah, I didn't expect Tanner McKee to kind of ball out like he did. 2 passing touchdowns, a tush-push touchdown. I think that just shows that Jalen Hurts isn't that special. But, yeah, not exactly what I expected from the Eagles' offense. Tanner McKee looked phenomenal. Yard did about what I expected. And then Kyle McCord, I've been on his rant about how Kyle McCord is so.
It's just preseason, first preseason game, whatever. But I got a feeling that's how the Bengals are going to look most of the time this year, for the most part.
Yeah.
High scoring.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase looking phenomenal. Chase had a couple great catches. I'm like, Dude, save them for the regular season.
Yeah, no doubt. And then Jake Browning just looked absolutely horrible last night when he got in there. And it's like, okay, now we need to keep Burrow healthy or it's going to be rough.
You got Desmond Ridder.
We need to keep Joe Burrow healthy or, man, it's going to be rough.
He threw a touchdown. Hey, he did better than Jake Browning. Yardage, touchdown, and interception-wise.
Man, we need to keep Joe Burrow healthy or, man, it's going to be rough. You went to Pittsburgh Steelers training camp earlier this week.
Yeah.
How was that? How did the team look? And how do you feel about it?
It was very fun. It was the second time I've ever been to training camp. The first time was years ago, pre-COVID, so it's been a while. A lot of stuff has changed there. Didn't get many autographs. Got 2 players and an Arthur Smith. Smith was the first one I got an autograph from, and I was like, this is hilarious. You can't tell who signed it, so I know in 5 years I'm going to look back at it and be like, who is this? I have no idea. But team-wise, they look great. The offense was looking phenomenal. Darnell Washington is a big guy. He is humongous. Having him stand next to the other tight ends, I was like, what, college, high school. That's what it looked like. The defense, not much to look forward to from what I saw in practice, but a lot of the starters weren't there. Like Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey especially weren't practicing, I believe, at all this week. I don't know why, but they weren't. Cam Hayward kind of holding in a little bit on his contract. He said he wants a raise, so see how much happens there. But overall, pretty cool. Pretty cool time. Rodgers, you know what? It's awesome to watch him in person. The way he throws the ball compared to, well, it was Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson since Will Howard decided to hurt himself, fracturing his hand and is out for 3 weeks. I'm like, great. But it was just an overall fun time. You can't really tell, but I did get kind of burnt on the arms and on the back of the neck. I did not prepare for it. I will admit, did not prepare. The weather I thought was going to be nicer than what it was. The weather app only said, low 80s with clouds. I was like, all right, I'll be fine. I took a hat. It was great for a little bit, and then the clouds went away, and the sun said, I'm here. And I could feel myself burning during it. I was like, this is not fun, but I'm going to stick it out. So overall, it was cool. It was fun.
Well, if you're anything like me, it doesn't matter if you put sunscreen on or what. I'm still getting burnt. We went to the ocean last week, and of course you're out in the sun out there too. You put a little sunscreen on, and like you said, by a couple hours later you reapply and you're already burnt, and I'm like, oh man, that's no good.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You were talking about Washington, and I saw the picture of him and the rest of the tight ends. It really looks like, a bunch of middle schoolers out here with a professional football player. It's like, okay, that is a man right there.
They have this thing where you can they have the hand sizes of different players. You put your hand up to see where it compares. It was like Calvin Austin, DK Metcalf, Patrick Queen, and Darnell Washington. And Calvin Austin, DK, and Patrick Queen have similar hand sizes to what I have, and then Darnell's is twice the size. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, he's a monster out there. I don't know why you wouldn't utilize that guy more often.
Well, it is Arthur Smith, so that right there should tell you a lot.
At least he signed for you. So
yeah, signed a football that I bought at the pro shop for $30.
There you go. Can't beat it. Right now, also switching to baseball, our teams are playing each other this weekend, and boy, did it get started off on the right foot for you. Paul Skeens
lighting it up. Doing what he does best. Under 2 ERA right now. I forget what it is, like a 1.97 maybe. It's ridiculous. Brady Singer, not doing so good, huh?
No, not at all. I sent you a message last night when the Pirates got up 3-0, and I was like, that's all they need. They didn't even need that many, and he's got 3 runs of support. Forget it. Boy, I was right.
Well, it's very abnormal because usually Skeens doesn't get any run support, so I'm sure he was very happy.
He had to be, but
I'm hopefully going to the game on Sunday. I forget who's starting. I want to say Zach Little for the Reds and maybe Mike Burrows for Pittsburgh. So I'm expecting a Reds win on that one. But never know. Maybe we'll get some sort of offense going against Little, and Burrows will actually pitch good.
Reds really needed to win 3 or 4 in this series for me to keep my hopes up. And, man, there's still a chance for that, I guess.
Still a chance, but a very slim chance. They got Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh today. Couldn't tell you who's tomorrow. And then Mike Burrows on Sunday. It's gonna be a tough one to get out.
At least they don't have to play in Bristol, is all I'm gonna say. What a disaster.
Yeah, awful. The uniforms and the catcher's gear, that looks cool.
Nice.
That was about it.
Tyler Stevenson's Ricky Bobby shout out with the catcher's gear was awesome.
That was fantastic.
And when they started playing that game in the first inning and there are puddles on the field everywhere, it's like, what are we doing here? Why did we even start this?
Whose idea was it? Awful idea. And then to see the seats where they're at compared to the ball field, I'm like, God, I need a telescope to be able to see what's going on.
I actually looked up tickets for that, and you could buy one ticket way out in the grandstand somewhere for $23, and I'm like, should I? I've thought about it really hard. And then after you hear the aftermath of everything, they ran out of hot dog buns. They ran out of nacho cheese for the chips and all kinds of disasters. Is the beach sounded a whole lot better.
Yeah, I don't understand how you run out of some of that stuff. You should have a backstock of that.
Especially they've got to have that for race day, right?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you can see how many tickets are sold.
Yeah.
Oh, you should probably prepare for that amount of people.
It's like somebody said it was like a pop-up game. We're just deciding to play in Bristol tonight. Here we go. Wasn't like they had months, year in advance, to be prepared for this.
Yeah. Well, I found it funny. So, MLB The Show, right?
Yeah.
They can put the Bristol field into the game. But when you have the Little League World Series, World Classic played at Bowman Field in Williamsport, we can't put that field in yet. Don't know why. We can't put this actual baseball field in, but let's put a field surrounded by a racetrack in it. Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. But it was just a disaster all the way around. And they probably won't try that again for a while, unfortunately. It was a cool concept set up, but poorly executed.
Poorly executed. I mean, it might have been better if there wasn't rain. If Mother Nature would have, said, hey, I'm going to be nice to you guys. But unfortunately, she decided not to do that.
Instead, we got Derek Jeter, David Ortiz, and A-Rod for 3 hours talking about nothing.
Yeah, stuff. Kind of. Really.
So that's all of our other stuff preview here. But we're here for the NFC South. Maybe one of the worst divisions in football. Man, I don't know. We need to be careful here. I mean, it all depends. I mean, you never know. I mean, they may, whatever.
And I have a sneaky suspicion that there was one team last year that we just did not like. We harped on them and harped on them and harped on them. But when they're in this division, it's kind of hard to harp on them because it's bad.
Yeah, we'll get to them here. The division has been dominated this decade by those Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we have harped on last year. And we have I don't know, some sort of a hatred for this team. But maybe changing the corner. I mean, we may just start hating on certain other teams. I don't know. Houston Texans, maybe. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a 4-time reigning NFC South Division champions. The run started with Brady and has continued with Baker. Can they win it again? I don't know. We'll see. They're in the running for the worst division in football, just like the ones we previewed last time, the AFC South. They have some bad teams and some mediocre teams. So, let's get into it, Gage. And why don't we just go ahead and start off with the team that won it all last year, the 4-time reigning, defending NFC South champs, those Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, there's a reason why this team won the division last year. 29.5 points scored per game, which was 4th in the entire NFL. Defensive-wise, middle of the pack. Points allowed per game, 22.7, rated 16th. So they are right at the 50% mark, better than half the league, worse. Their BetMGM win total set at 9.5 wins. And I have the key question of, can defense become a strength again? Usually, the defense is pretty good for Tampa Bay. You think Tampa Bay, you're going to think defense. However, last year they were plagued with injuries and inefficiency. Like I mentioned, 16th in points against and 18th in yards allowed, which was both their lowest marks since the 2019 season. So how do they do this? They address the edge position. They signed former Pro Bowl Hassan Reddick. Still only 30 years old, so he should be, healthy, ready to go as long as there's no internal problems within the team. And they should have an improved secondary, cornerback Benjamin Morris, who is a rookie, and healthy safety Antoine Winfield Jr. We know he's a veteran. So there's no reason why this defense shouldn't be better than what they were last year. Position to watch, it's going to be kind of an odd one, but I have the whole Tampa Bay Buccaneers here as an odd team. I'm going to go to the receiver position. First off, you got to look at Mike Evans. You know he's going to likely put up 1,000 yards. He's going to look to surpass Jerry Rice's all-time record with a 12th consecutive 1,000-yard season. That's impressive. That is awesome, and that is why I love having Mike Evans on my fantasy team every year. He did that last year after missing, he missed 5-6 games, and it's like, wow, this guy he's a Hall of Famer for sure. You also add last year's third-round pick, Jalen McMillan, and this year's first-round pick, Emeka Egbuka. Pair them up. Chris Godwin, is he healthy? I don't think so.
No.
So it's going to be interesting. Who's going to step up? Is it going to be McMillan? Is it going to be Egbuka? This probably could be looked at as the deepest receiver room in the league. So moving over, breakout coach. I'm not going to do a breakout player. I'm going to do a breakout coach. Let's stay on the offensive side, and let's go to the offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard. Baker Mayfield, this is his 8th offensive coordinator in as many seasons. That poor guy. I kind of feel bad for him because who could succeed with that? Apparently Mayfield kind of can. Grizzard was promoted from the passing game coordinator after the Bucs lost Mr. Duval Liam Cohen to the head coaching game for the second straight season. He's relatively unknown, graduated from Yale, but he's expected to maintain the system that produced one of the league's top offensive last year. Like I mentioned, 4th overall in points scored. They were also top 4 in both rushing and passing yards. I would say don't be surprised if the offensive coordinator Grizzard, if he receives head coaching interviews after this season. Probably not going to go well him as a head coach, but don't be surprised if they get it. So are they better than what they were in 2024? I'm going to say yes. Their offense, almost fully intact. The biggest loss being Cohen and also Chris Godwin. Defensive upgrades make this team poised, I would say, for another double-digit win season, especially after 6 of last 8. Defensive upgrades make this team poised for another double-digit win season, especially after 6 of last season's 8 losses, including the playoffs, came in one-score games. And having one of the top 10 easiest schedules should definitely help them get back to the postseason. So, like I mentioned, 9.5 wins as the win line set by BetMGM. I'm going to take the over. and we might get a little heel turn this season. I have a lot of faith in the Buccaneers. Like you mentioned, we might, turn against some other teams. Not going to mention any names, but I think the Buccaneers are going to be one of, at least for me, I can't speak for you, but one of my teams to look forward to. So give me the over on the 9.5 wins, and I believe they win the division.
Tampa Bay is definitely one of the teams to look forward to in this division, for sure. They finished last season 10-7, good enough to win the division. If that doesn't tell you the strength of this division, I don't know what will. They lost in the wild card round to the Commanders 23-20. The story of last year was the offense. The offense was clicking last season under offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, who has now went on to Duval County. Baker Mayfield was really good last season under Cohen. He threw for over 4,000 yards, 41 touchdowns. He did throw 16 picks, but it's still Baker. He's going to make things interesting. Mike Evans, as you mentioned, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame wide receiver. He did Mike Evans things out there. Going over 1,000 yards for the 11th straight season. Mr. Consistency. He's getting older. Can he go for a 12th in a row and break Jerry Rice's record? Time will tell. Chris Godwin had a brutal injury in garbage time last year against the Ravens. Shouldn't have been in that at that time, and that cost him. They had him in with like less than a minute left, had that injury, and there was no need for him to be in there. They were down a couple of touchdowns at that point in time. But the offense still rolled on without Godwin. Rookie Bucky Irving out of Oregon was a bright spot for the team in the running game. He had over 1,100 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and was a receiving threat out of the backfield. Evans led the team in receiving touchdowns with 11, but rookie Jalen McMillan was second with 8. In the first round of this year's draft, they drafted wide receiver Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. We'll see how he fits in that wide receiver room, but you really can't go wrong with an Ohio State wide receiver now, can you? They also drafted Tez Johnson out of Oregon, who I really liked when he was in college. Thought he was a really good wide receiver. Question mark for this offense is how they will replace Mayfield's blind side with all-pro tackle Christian Wirfs out for the season. On the defensive side, they've got a lot of familiar faces on that side of the ball like Vita Vea, Levante David, who may be the most underrated linebacker in the league that nobody talks about, and Antoine Winfield. And then they bring in, as you mentioned, Hassan Reddick, who had a disappointing time with the Jets on and off the field. So there are a lot of question marks for this team.
All right, we're one.
They've got the talent in place, but Cohen's left the offense, and every place he's left has taken a dip the very next year. I think it'll be the same here. I think the offense will take a little bit of a dip. We'll see. What'd you say the over-under was on that? 9.5?
9.5.
I'm going over on this one. I like Tampa Bay to go over. Man, it feels weird to say I like Tampa Bay on this podcast because of the hate that we've given them over the past couple of years on here. But, like you said, we may have a heel turn on some other teams. Could be Tampa Bay's babyface run. But I like them to win the division again. I got them win the division once again this year. So, there's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers part. And now we go to the team that finished second last year, the Atlanta Falcons, Gage.
Surprisingly, finishing second last year. Finishing at 8-9. Which, after looking at the way the season ended, I'm surprised that they finished with that many wins. Their win total set at 7.5 for this coming season. It's almost like they're just going, right where the record was last year, which is kind of funny. So my key question for them, do they finally have a pass rush? Last year, Atlanta ranked 31st in sacks. That was actually an improvement for them. The Falcons ranked, again, across the past 5, 10, and 20 seasons in total sacks. So they used the draft's first round, and they add 2 edge rushers, Jalen Walker at pick number 15 and James Pierce Jr. at pick number 26. They also signed edge Leonard Floyd, who was 2016's number 9 pick, to a 1-year deal. So my position to watch, I'm going to go to the safety position. Their defense, below average in nearly every passing category last year. They ended the season by allowing 400-plus total yards to both the Commanders and the Panthers. That's right, I read that right. The Panthers. Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, and the Panthers. So now, new defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. It seems like he's been implementing like a lighter 3-4 base with a focus on stopping the aerial attacks. You got star safety Jesse Bates. You got returning safety DeMarco Helms. And you got rookie Xavier Watts, who some actually are looking at a pretty good steal in this past year's draft. They should play important roles in that. It's going to be interesting. I don't think you can get a big turnaround in one season, but I think anything, for the most part, is better than what they had last year. My breakout player is fairly simple. I'm going to go to the lefty, quarterback Michael Penix Jr. He took over last year for Kirk Cousins, had some decent games, had some what happened games. And that was expected with the rookie. He wasn't the starter. Now you got Kirk Cousins backing you up. And the Falcons are trying to trade him in his contracts, but I don't think that's going to. Thanks to the arm of Penix, he looked like a franchise quarterback a couple times. He was surrounded by a top 10 offensive line, star running back in Bijan, and a talented group of receiving options. Plus, this year, he has an offensive coordinator who kind of impressed a little bit. Penix has his teammates and coaches. Everyone's saying they're expecting a big season out of him. How big is the season going to be? I'm going to predict probably 3,000 plus passing yards, 18 to 20 touchdowns, 7 or 8 picks. But I expect his running to be in full effect a little bit. Kind of looking like a Michael Vick, maybe, just not nearly as good. So are they better than what they were in 2024? Stat-wise, I'm going to say yes. Record-wise, I'm going to say no. I think Michael Penix is still going to have his ups and his downs, but more downs than anything. The team was 6-3 with a win against the Eagles before Kirk Cousins just fell off the face of the earth. So I don't know. Bijan, I think, is going to have a better year. Kyle Pitts, we say this every year, especially for fantasy football players. Kyle Pitts, breakout season. Kyle Pitts, breakout season. And then he just doesn't. So I don't know what to expect from this guy. Better than 2024, like I said. Stat-wise, no. Stat-wise, yes. Record-wise, no. The win total was 7.5. I'm going to take the under. I think they go 6 or 7 wins, but nothing to give Tampa Bay, for instance, a run for their money.
The Falcons may be the most intriguing team in the whole NFL, not just the NFC South, only because of what they're doing at quarterback. They finished last season 8-9, missed the playoffs. They started out last season starting their big free agent signing, Kirk Cousins, who they gave a big deal to before switching to the rookie Michael Penix Jr. in week 15. They made the switch to Penix late in the season, which was an odd decision considering they were still in the playoff hunt. Mm-hmm. And dropped their final 2 games of the season to who was somebody in the Panthers. The Panthers were the last one you had mentioned. The Commanders. Cousins wasn't good last year. He fumbled the ball 13 times. That's a lot for a quarterback. That's a lot for a running back. That's definitely too much for a quarterback. But the quarterback wasn't the bright spot for the team last year. The bright spot for the team, that would belong to rookie running back out of Texas, Bijan Robinson, who had over 1,400 rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. He also had over 400 yards receiving. The problem the Falcons had last year was quarterback play, and then the receiving core wasn't, nothing special. No real big names to get excited. Leading receiver Drake London had over 1,200 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. And then there's Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts. Any of these guys scare you? No, definitely not. Defensively, this team's best player is former Bengal Jesse Bates. Hate to see him leave Cincinnati. He had 4 picks last season, 1 for a touchdown. He was second on the team in tackles, which isn't the best sign for a defense when a safety is second on the team in tackles. Their biggest weakness is their pass rush, or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. You mentioned they had 2 first-round picks. They drafted Walker and Pierce Jr. to help out with that. But you really can't rely on rookies to make huge impacts. When it happens, it can happen, but that's a lot for rookies, to be asked to do. What was the over-under for the wins on this team this year?
7.5.
7.5. I'm with you here. I'm taking the under on this. I just don't see a very good team here besides the running back. Give me the under on that. I think Bijan Robinson's poised for a monster season. He had 1,400 yards rushing, 400 receiving, 14 touchdowns. He's going to be a fantasy delight for somebody this year, whoever has him in fantasy. But I just don't think there's much else around him. So give me the under on the underperforming Falcons. And nobody's going to want that contract of Kirk Cousins. That is just they overpaid him and then went out and drafted Penix in the same draft and was going to have him set back behind Cousins, but Cousins was so bad they had to make the switch. Good luck getting rid of that Falcons. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a disappointment in Atlanta this year.
I'm surprised a team like the Saints didn't take it just because who do they have?
But wait till we get to that room.
Yeah. But outside of that, you guys messed up by giving him that contract. So you made your bed, you lie in it.
Messed up by giving him that contract after coming off of a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention real quick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did sign a quarterback there last week, and it's Two Gloves Teddy joins the team as a backup. So, hey, there's that.
Yeah, hopefully his high school coaching suspension doesn't roll over to the NFL.
Yeah, man. So we go to the third team in the NFC South, and it is the Carolina Panthers. Gage, what do we think about Carolina?
Yeah, they finished third last year at 5-12. Not a lot of good things to say about this team. Bryce Young, at least down the stretch, looked promising, but I also feel like maybe the Panthers were just playing to have fun. They had nothing to play for, so why not? Let's air the ball out and see what happens. Their win total is set at 6.5, and my key question is their defense any better? Any better at all? They allowed the third most points per game of any team in the past 20 years at 31.4. You can't win like that unless you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you have a high-powered offense and no defense. Then you might have a chance. Outside of that, if your offense is just as abysmal as your defense, good luck. Even after that, though, defensive coordinator, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try, but he kept his job. How do you keep this guy on after allowing 31.4 points per game? So star defensive tackle Derek Brown hopes to be back for week 1, missed nearly all of last year, and he'll be joined by a couple free agent signings, defensive tackle Tershawn Wharton, safety Trevon Moehrig, and multiple new edge rushers. However, linebacker still remains a question for this team. So what's the position to watch? I'm going to go back to the receiver position for the Panthers. Veteran Adam Thielen, he spoke about the team and, quote, finally sick of being the same old Panthers. Well, all right, it's about time that someone said it. Critical to that happening is the development of quarterback-friendly target Tedera McMillan. He was the number 8 pick this year, and also Xavier Legette. He was the first rounder last year, but he struggled to create separation. But he almost has, I'm going to compare it to a Steeler, a DK Metcalf-like run and catch ability. Once he creates separation and learns how to do it, he's going to be, I think, a top 15 receiver in the league. But he fits really well along with McMillan, along with Adam Thielen. I don't know. Maybe this offense has something brewing. And that's where I'm going to go over to my breakout player. We're going to go to the tight end position. And you might be thinking, who's the tight end for the Panthers? I have no idea. So we're going to go to tight end Jatavion Sanders. He's a Texas product, joins Bryce Young, as you could count it as one of 8 Panthers entering a pivotal year. 22 years old now, and he must compete with 2025 fifth-rounder pick Mitchell Evans. Last year, Sanders was selected as a 4th rounder, and he's even stated he has a goal of playing in the Pro Bowl this season. And with the numbers he had last year, if he's able to double them, he had 33 receptions, 342 yards, a bunch of injuries plagued him this year. If he's able to double that, he might have an outside chance of getting that Pro Bowl spot. We know anybody can make it. Snoop Huntley made it. So why not him? So are they better than what they were in 2024? Depends on Bryce Young. I'm going to say yes. I don't want to say high hopes for this team this year, but better hopes than at least what I do for the Falcons. So their win total set at 6.5. I'm going to take the over. I think they finished second in the division in surprising fashion. They might finish 8 or 9 wins this year.
So last season, the Carolina Panthers finished 5-12, as you mentioned. Good for third, tied for last in the division.
Yeah.
Third sounds good.
Yeah.
But quarterback Bryce Young was looking better after being benched for the Red Rifle. And then, whenever the Red Rifle got into the car accident, Young took back over and he looked decent down the stretch. The Panthers played a lot of overtime ball last year, with 4 of their games going to overtime. They were 3-1 in such games. Maybe they should just have a lot of overtime games. Seems to work out for them. Young finished the season with over 2,400 yards passing and 15 touchdowns. 9 picks. There aren't too many stars on this team. Their main strength is their offensive line, which is some of the keys to the success that Young had last year. Chuba Hubbard benefited from a good line with over 1,100 yards on the ground. The only player on the team that went over 100 yards rushing or receiving, or over 1,000 yards rushing or receiving on the team was Hubbard. You mentioned Xavier Legette. Is he legit? I don't know. We'll see. He's got all the potential in the world.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Tavion Sanders at tight end. If he could stay healthy, Pro Bowl, I mean, like you said, anybody can make the Pro Bowl. Maybe we should have some more loftier goals here. I mean, playing in the Pro Bowl, what is this, flag football? I mean, I don't know, what do they even do for the Pro Bowl anymore? I don't know. But they drafted wide receiver McMillan out of Arizona with an 8th pick, looking to add some kind of offensive weapon over there. They also drafted Travis Etienne's little brother, Trevor, who I don't think he was very good in college, though. Like the Falcons, this team's biggest weakness is their defensive front. Now, they've added some pieces trying to fix it, like edge Nick Scorton and edge Princely, whatever that last name is, in the draft. You mentioned linebackers a big concern with them, and it is. Christian Roseboom and rookie out of Kentucky, Trevin Wallace, are their projected starters. Yikes. Not ideal for this team. But if they can develop that front seven and Bryce Young keeps improving, this team can improve from bad to mediocre. What's the over-under on them? 7.5?
I believe so. Let me run back here and look.
There's a 6.5. I like the over. I like the over in this. Me and you haven't talked about the NFC South besides just bashing teams in general, but we haven't talked like specifics on this. But yeah, so far, man, I've got Tampa Bay winning this division. I like Carolina to come in there and get 7 to 8 wins. Now, things are all going to depend on how Bryce Young develops. If he comes back and he looks like he did the first couple of weeks of the season or his rookie year, it's not happening. But if he looks like the quarterback that showed up at the end of the season, and they get some of these guys, some of these rookies going, I like them to make a little bit of a noise in that division. I don't like for them to overtake Tampa Bay, but I do think that they can finish second and fight for a wild card spot. I don't think they'll get a wild card spot, of course, but they'll be in the hunt. Like they'll be on that graphic in week 16 in the hunt over here, Carolina Panthers at 5-8 or whatever, you know. I could see it.
You mentioned about Trevor Etienne. He played 3 years in college, 2 at Florida, 1 at Georgia. Played in 34 games. He had 371 rushing attempts for 2,081 yards, 23 touchdowns, averaged 5.6 a carry. So not horrible. Averaged 61.2 yards a game. He had 62 catches for 432 yards and a touchdown. So not horrible, but not a standout star by any sorts of the imagination.
No, he definitely wasn't a star. He's not one of the players where you can watch and be like, that guy right there is going to be special. He's not that kind of a player. Now, could he be a nice little change of pace from Chuba Hubbard? Sure, why not? But he's not going to be your everyday, every week starter in this league. I just don't see it. And now we head to the basement of the NFC South and possibly the basement of the whole NFL, and that is the New Orleans Saints. Gage, what do we think about the New Orleans Saints?
They also finished at 5-12 last year, but they still finished in the basement of the division because the Panthers somehow were above them. Not too sure how, but they were. If we go back to the first 2 weeks of last season, we've all thought, wow, this team is incredible. They threw up over 40 points in both games. They beat the Eagles. So it was like, whoa, what? Derek Carr? Rashid Shaheed? Alvin Kamara? This team is going to go far. And then Derek Carr got hurt, and that was all she wrote. 2024 fifth-round pick, their quarterback, Spencer Rattler. His record last year, 0-6. He did not win a single game. Now, there is some crucial context missing. Chris Olave missed most of those games, and all but one of those teams was a playoff team. Still, the 24-year-old, he did not show major promise in those starts. So what happened? They chose the sneaky athletic, but often injured, Tyler Shuck in the second round of this year's draft. I did not realize how old Shuck was. He will be 26 in September. He is older than Spencer Rattler, who already has a year in this league. Now, neither Rattler nor Shuck has separated themselves to be the starter. I forget who else to even have. They have someone else, at least 2 other people who apparently mean nothing because, I don't know, off the top of my head, I mean, doing a quick Google
Jake
search.
Hayner.
Jake Hayner, and then I remember there was another
Hunter
one.
Decker.
Yeah. Who?
Hunter Deckers.
Again, repeat. Who?
You know, your boy a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I think I was talking him up, and I don't even know why.
Just cause.
Yeah, because why not? It's anyone's job for the taking. Even the Browns, who have a very clogged quarterback room, we can say Joe Flacco's probably going to be the starting week 1. We can't say that about this team because we don't know. It might be undrafted free agent Hunter Deckers that gets the start in week 1. There's no telling. Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, Hunter Deckers. Good luck. Let's move to the position to watch. It's not quarterback. That room is just awful. We're going to go over to the defensive side and look at cornerback. They traded Marshawn Lattimore to Washington. They changed the nature of their secondary. They lost Paulson Adebo to the Giants in free agency. Their top corner is now 22-year-old sophomore Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's joined by 2025 fourth-round pick Quincy Riley, fourth-year veteran Alante Taylor, and journeyman, even though they had him, Isaac Yiadom. They signed free agent corner Asante Samuel Jr., and he's familiar with defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. So and it could help if they go out and do what the rumors say, sign Asante Samuel Jr. He's familiar with Brandon Staley, so why not give him the contract? He can be your number 1 corner and help Kool-Aid McKinstry and the other people, learn the game and get better as players. So my breakout player, I'm going to go to the offensive line. Offensive tackle Talise Fuaga. Again, sorry for butchering your name. I'm sure you're listening, Fuaga, so I'm
Easy
sorry
for you to say.
Yeah. After the Saints used their 2025 first-round pick on left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., Fuaga can switch back to his natural role as right tackle. He starred there at Oregon State, so why not put him back to where he's most comfortable? With strength at both bookends and the league's best center in Eric McCoy, the line I could see being an above-average unit. Whatever quarterback is back there will actually have some sort of time to throw the ball. So the question, are they better than what they were in 2024? Absolutely not. They finished 4-4 after firing former head coach Dennis Allen, and a full reset was needed. So they brought in Moore, they brought in Brandon Staley, improved the offensive line and secondary. Derek Carr retired and got the heck out of town, but don't expect a quick turnaround at all. I'm not expecting anything. What did I say their win line was at 6.5? The under. I would be surprised if they get the 5-12 record that they had last year. I don't think that they do. They might go 3 or 4 wins. Rashid Shaheed and MVS might be the only players that are exciting to watch behind Alvin Kamara, but Kamara is basically the entire offense. I don't expect anything good. So like I said, give me the under. They finished last place, and New Orleans, you're known for drinking, but you might want to have a little bit more ready for this.
I believe they've released MVS too. I don't believe he's on the team anymore. I think I seen that. I may be wrong. Last year, the Saints finished 5-12 in the basement. They were not good, firing head coach Dennis Allen halfway through the season. In the offseason, they hired Philly's offensive coordinator, Super Bowl winning coordinator Kellen Moore as their next head coach. And you talk about a team with a quarterback room that is bad. Just bad. Everybody, including me, has mocked Cleveland's quarterback room. But you take a look at this group. Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, Woof. They released your boy Hunter Deckers. He's no longer on the team, ending his Hall of Fame worthy time there. Derek Carr retired this offseason. Like you said, he's got to get out of Dodge. Last year, the Saints looked like a Super Bowl contender the first 2 weeks of the season. They destroyed Carolina and Dallas. Then it all went downhill. Derek Carr will probably go down as one of the more underachieving quarterbacks of all time. Ever since he broke his leg that one year in the playoffs, or when they was heading to the playoffs with the Raiders, he just hasn't been the same. He's had glimpses, but never really got it together to where you thought that he was one of the top-tier quarterback in the league. If you thought Carolina didn't have much production on offense, boy, the Saints, on the other hand, had no player go over 1,000 rushing yards, no player go over 1,000 receiving yards. The closest that they had was Alvin Kamara with 950 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. Nobody else was even close. The Saints drafted offensive tackle Kelvin Banks out of Texas with their first-round pick. While I didn't like their second-round pick, Tyler Shuck, he's from Louisville. He's an older guy. Maybe it's the Louisville hate. I don't know. But maybe it's because he's not really that good. It could be a combination. I really like their 6th-round pick, though, running back from Kansas, the real deal Devin Neal. I think he could give Kamara some breaks in the backfield. Brandon Cooks is back on the team. I couldn't tell you where Brandon Cooks has played the last few seasons. I know he was in the league somewhere. Maybe. I don't know. But he started out in New Orleans, and he's back in New Orleans. Make a difference? No. On the defensive side of the ball, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, also retired abruptly, just like Carr. What is Kellen Moore doing to these guys since he's been there? 2 of your star guys like, yeah, we're done. We're out of here. We're retired. The defense isn't bad. They return guys like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis, who are a little older. Chase Young is also on this team. Color me surprised. Haven't heard much from him, number 2 pick a few years back. They also have the best name in all the NFL in, as you mentioned him, Kool-Aid McKinstry in the defensive backfield. They also signed Justin Reed to be back there with him as well. Nice little pickup, maybe. This team has potential defensively, but offensively, I just don't see them doing much. You still got Chris Olave over there. If he can stay healthy, there's a weapon for him. And Swiss Army knife in Taysom Hill. But I don't think it'll be enough to get out of the basement of the South. This team may be the leaders in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. Time will tell. Their over-under, you said, was 6.5. Give me the under on this one. I think that they could be the worst team in the NFL. They've got the potential to be the worst team in the NFL. Don't know what they're doing at quarterback. I don't think they know what they're doing at quarterback. They may be holding on. Arch Manning may just be like, you know what, I don't even want to go to New Orleans. I'm going to stay in Texas another year. So we'll see, but give me the under on that one. And, New Orleans just bad.
So let's see here. You mentioned Brandon Cooks. He spent the last 2 years in Dallas and in 3 years before that in Houston. You were right, MVS is now a Seattle Seahawk. So that takes away that weapon. And I got it. Bring up my guy, Hunter Deckers. He was re-signed here on August 6th. This is
okay.
not the Saints waived a punter, Matthew Habel, and re-signed Hunter Deckers to bring back 4 quarterbacks and to give him another chance at a Hall of Fame career.
Nice. The redemption story begins now for Mr. Hunter Deckers, so still that shot.
I hope he's like the week 1 starter. Just this way I can be like, I called it. I told everybody. I called it.
That would be great. So, who is your MVP of this division?
MVP, I got to go Baker Mayfield. I don't see any other reason why it would be anybody else. There's one other guy, maybe, but it's a guy he's throwing the ball to. So give me Baker as the MVP.
We'll go a little off the board here, and I think it's going to be a team that we said is going to underperform this year. Give me Bijan Robinson. I think that he's going to be the MVP this year. He had a great rookie season last year, and I just think he continues to improve. And like I said, if you're putting some bets down on the game or having somebody on your fantasy team, Bijan might be the guy to go with this year, I think. Rookie of the year out of the division?
Man. Again, I'm going to stick with the Bucs. But like I said, we got a little face turn coming. With Chris Godwin being hurt, we're going to look at the Ohio State guy. Give me Emeka Egbuka as Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I also was going to go with Emeka Egbuka for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that he's going to have a pretty big year without Godwin there. And Mike Evans, is he kind of on a downhill slide? He just barely got 1,000 last year. He's been injured. He's getting older. He's Mr. Gunny. But Egbuka coming in, I think he'll make a good number 2. I think he'll pass McMillan. And I think that he has a pretty big rookie year for those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. And that's all for our NFC South preview. If we didn't get to the 4th wide receiver on the roster, that's on us. We'll work on it, try to do better the next time. Gage, you got anything else you want to add here? Is there any random player from the Falcons we want to mention here?
None that I know of. You mentioned like all the wide receivers, I think. I don't know. They probably have someone who could be considered a diamond in the rough. Same thing for the Panthers. No. Saints.
Horrible.
Other quarterbacks. And the Bucks. No, I don't think so. Just, throwing in little sprinkles of the heel or of the face turn towards the Bucks and heel turn towards other teams. But who knows? The Bucks, I think, are going to take the rest of the teams to Suplex City and win the division hands down.
The beast of the NFC South is back, so I think they'll continue their run. And next week, I mean, we've got 4 divisions left before the season starts. We've got the East and the North, so we'll see. And that'll do it for us, and we'll see you all next week.
Later.
I've got